All right, it's Mrs. Merritt, and we are back for Module 3, Lesson 8 today. And our objective today is I can compare objects using heavier than and lighter than with things we can find around our classroom. Now, I know I'm teaching you from home today, so we're going to be able to compare things using the terms heavier and lighter than on our screen, and then maybe you can go around your house and find some things that are heavier and lighter. Does that sound fun? All right, let's rock. So we're going to get back to this rec and rec today, and we are going to do it the same way we've been doing it with our say 10 push-ups. We're going to do 10 and then count how many are on the bottom. So if it's 10 and 1's on the bottom, it's 10, 1. We're going to roll through these real quick. Here we go. 10, 1. Good job. 10, 1, 2. 10, 2. 10, 1, 2, 3. 10, 3. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is it? 10, 5. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're almost to 10, 10. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now wait, that's 10, 7. You're right. But do we always have to count the red ones all over again? We know this is 10. How many red are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, so we can just count up. We know this is 5, so we could have just counted up and gone 6, 7. Let's do that next time. 10, then we have 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, you're getting good at subitizing. 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 what? 9. Ooh, these look equal. So what do you think it is? 10 and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 10. Great job. All right, now we're going to play beep numbers. And instead of saying a number, I'm going to just say beep. And when you know what that number is, I want you to shout it out. So we're just going to count up by ones pretty much. 1, 2, beep. 3, very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, beep. 5, very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, beep. 8, very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, beep. 10. 1, beep. 2. You guys are getting so good. I may have to add a subitizing video in here for us to do. Great job. All right, so we are ready to dive into today's lesson. I want you to look at the rice cakes, which are here, and the can. Which is taller? Okay, this is taller. And we've been talking about how tall and short things are. There are other ways we can compare things, and that's how heavy or light they are. So I want you to think about, would you rather carry a bag of rice cakes home from the store, or would you rather carry a big can of soup? Think about it. Pretend you had a really long walk home from the store, and your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, whoever you went to the store with said, hey, you got to carry one thing. Would you rather carry the rice cakes or the can of soup? Well, let me tell you, I personally, if I had a really long walk, would want to carry the rice cakes. And that's because they're lighter. They may be taller or bigger, but that doesn't always tell us if something is light or heavy. Because looking at this picture, maybe you thought that the rice cakes would be heavier because they were taller. But the reality of it is that they're actually lighter than a can of soup. So we are going to explore that today. I want you to look at the book or the cotton balls. Now you know cotton balls, right? Really fluffy. And I want you to think, what if you had to carry a backpack around all day, what would you rather carry in your backpack? Would you rather carry a book or cotton balls? If you chose the book, put your hand on your head. If you chose the cotton balls, put your hand on your nose. So, the cotton balls in the books are two different weights. One is heavier and one is lighter. And although I love to read, I would like to carry the cotton balls around all day because they're lighter. It's going to be less weight for me to carry around. So weight is a math word for how heavy or light something is. When you go to the doctors, you get your weight checked, right? And that's to tell them how heavy or light you are, okay? So I would want to carry these cotton balls because they're lighter. I could probably last longer carrying them on my back all day. Okay. Now, I want you to think about this one. There's a book that you could carry around all day, or 3 rocks. Which would you choose? Okay, so if we had a book in one hand and a thing of rocks in our other hand, what do you think would be lighter? I mean, it would depend on the rocks. If you had little tiny pebbles, the rocks would be lighter, right? But these look like pretty big rocks. So the rocks are heavier than the book, and the book is lighter than the rocks. So we have been using one really important word when we've been comparing lengths, and we're going to continue to use it when we compare weight, and that is than. It's a comparison word. So I'm telling you, the book is lighter than the rocks, or the rocks are heavier than the book. So we're going to use that to compare weight still, that word than. They have different weights, so that's why we use the word than. And since they have different weights, we can figure out if they're heavier than or lighter than one another. Okay, so thinking about what we just talked about with the word than, I want you to come up with a sentence. Do you think the book is heavier than the eraser or lighter than the eraser? If you think it's heavier, the book is heavier, put your hand on your head. If you think it's lighter, put your hand on your nose. The book is heavier than the eraser. We can't even judge the size of it, but if you think about how light an eraser is, if you hold that in your hand, you're going to feel really quickly that the eraser is lighter than your book. Now let's compare the book to a pencil. We all know what a pencil feels like, right? Yeah. So we use a pencil to write with. If you don't know what a pencil feels like, think of like a pen or a marker or a crayon, something really kind of light. And I want you to tell me if you think the pencil is heavier than the book by putting your hands on your head, or if you think it's lighter than the book by putting your hands on your nose. The pencil is lighter than the book. The book is going to be heavier than the pencil. Great job. We have 3 more questions, okay? Do you think your backpack is heavier than a marker or lighter than a marker? So think of a marker and think of a backpack. If you're at home, you can put your backpack on and feel it and then hold a marker in your hand or a crayon or a pen or a pencil, something to write with, and you'll be able to feel the difference. Is it heavier than? Is the backpack heavier than the marker or lighter than the marker? Your backpack's probably going to be heavier than your marker. Just the backpack alone. But you probably have stuff in your backpack, right? So that makes it even more heavier. Great job. We have one more after this. Do you think the balloon will be heavier than the apple or lighter than the apple? Remember, balloons can float, and if something can float, is it light or heavy? Pretty light. And then apples, if you put them in water, they sink a little bit. So show me a yes or a no. The apple is heavier than the balloon. Yes. The balloon is heavier than the apple. No. Heavier means weighs more. And that we know is not the case. Our last one. Do you think the tape dispenser is heavier than the crayon or lighter than the crayon? A tape dispenser has stuff to weigh it down to keep it on the table too. So think about that. So if it has a weight in it, do you think it's going to be heavier or lighter than a crayon? Heavier. Crayon's pretty light. You can toss it in your hand. So what would my sentence be? The tape dispenser is heavier than the crayon, or the crayon is what? Than the tape dispenser. Lighter. You are doing an amazing job, guys. I am really, really proud of you. So you have options for your exit ticket today. There are a few questions, and you're going to have to figure out which object's lighter, which object's heavier, and all that fun stuff. But there's also a really cool thing. You're going to go around your house, and I want you to find 2 things. Now, I always ask you to bring to your lesson something to write with. I want you to find 2 things that are heavier than what you write with. And then I always ask you something to write on. Now, I've seen some of you bring whiteboards. I've seen some of you bring notebooks. And that was usually way more than your writing utensil or the thing you write with. So I want you to find something that is lighter, 2 things that are lighter than what you write on for every day's lesson. Okay? So that is your challenge. I cannot wait to see what great ideas you guys come up with, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.